Are you tired of constantly worrying about where to find that much-needed capital to scale your venture? Well, you're not alone. Financial hurdles are a universal challenge for most small businesses and startups. But guess what? There's a tool available to entrepreneurs like you, and it's called Business Grants, which is free money that doesn't need to be repaid. Now, if you're thinking, well, that sounds great, but I have no idea how to get a business grant, well, then you're going to want to stick around. Welcome back to the Fund&Grow channel. I'm your host, Zach Ritchie, and in this video, we're deep diving into the world of business grants to reveal what they are, where you can find them, and how to secure one for your business. We'll walk you through the entire process from identifying the right grants for your business, preparing your application, writing a compelling grant proposal, all the way to submission and follow-up. And don't worry if you've applied before and been unsuccessful, we've got tips on how to bounce back and improve your chances next time. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's start with what exactly a business grant is. A grant is a sum of money given by a government, organization, or individual for a specific purpose. Unlike loans, these funds don't have to be repaid, making them a very attractive option. Grants are often targeted towards specific goals or projects, such as scientific research, community development, or business expansion. Now, how grants differ from loans? They are both there to provide needed capital, but they differ significantly in their terms and conditions. Loans are borrowed funds that need to be repaid over time, typically with interest. That means that over the long term, you're going to pay more than you initially borrowed. On the other hand, grants are essentially a gift. They don't require repayment, which means they are a form of free money. Now, securing a grant can be competitive and often requires meeting specific criteria or goals. And while a loan can be used for almost any business purpose, grants typically have strict usage requirements tied to that grant's purpose. Let's talk about what types of grants are out there. There's federal grants. Now, these are primarily funded by the United States government. They could be competitive, formula-based, pass-through, or continuation grants. Competitive grants are awarded based on the merit of the proposed project. There's also state and local grants. Now, these grants are offered by state and local governments, and they often focus on community development and enrichment, and their availability may vary from one region to another. We also have industry-specific grants. Now, these grants target specific sectors such as education, arts, research, nonprofits, and more. For instance, the U.S. Department of Education offers discretionary grants, student loans, or grants. There's also foundation grants, corporate grants, and nonprofit grants. Now, these are usually provided by private entities such as foundations, corporations, and nonprofit organizations. So now that we've outlined them, the next step is finding the right grant for your business. So here's a list of resources to find grants for yourself. There's grants.gov, there's the Foundation Directory Online, which is fconline.foundationcenter.org, and there's GrantWatch. Now, these websites list thousands of grants from a variety of sources and can be filtered based on your specific needs, and they show how to identify grants that fit exactly what you're looking for. Now, hold on. Before you click away from this video and jump in the deep end for grants, it's important to have a clear understanding for what your business needs actually are. This might be funding for research and development, expansion into new markets, or support for a community project. Look for grants that are specifically designed for your industry or for the type of project that you're planning, and read that fine print. Because once you've identified potential grants, you're going to want to read through all the details. Make sure you meet all the eligibility requirements and understand what the grant entails. Because some grants come with certain obligations or reporting requirements, so make sure you're prepared to meet those conditions. And if all else fails, seek expert advice. If you're unsure about whether a grant is a good fit for your business, seek advice from a professional grant writer or consultant. They can help you understand the grant application process and can offer insight into which grants might be the best fit for your business. So now let's talk about preparing to apply for a grant. Now, a well-crafted business plan is crucial when applying for a grant. It serves as a roadmap for how the grant's funds will be used and shows your organization's competence and clarity of vision. Clearly state the objectives, strategies, and actions for achieving your business goals. Grantors want to see that you have a strategic plan for success and that their funds will contribute to that plan. Now, there's other necessary documentation to keep in mind. You're going to want financial statements, tax returns, budget proposal, organizational chart, legal documents like registration, licenses, permits, etc. So now that you've done the preparation, let's talk about actually writing a grant proposal. A grant proposal is a formal document that requests funding from an organization, whether it be a government department, corporation, foundation, or trust. The main purpose of a grant proposal is to persuade the grantor that your project or business is deserving of their financial support. It's a detailed explanation of what the grant money is going to be used for, how it's going to benefit the community or industry, and how it's used use will align with the grantor's missions or objectives. So let's talk about submitting your grant application. Now, most grant applications can be submitted online through the grantor's website, but some may require a physical application. Ensure that you've got all your documents ready and thoroughly check each section of the application before submission, and pay attention to the deadline. Late submissions are usually not accepted, and rushing can lead to mistakes in your application. If the application requires a fee, as some do, make sure it's paid on time as well. So let's talk about follow-up after the submission. First off, you gotta respect the process. Many grantors explicitly state when you can expect to hear back about your application. Respect this timeline and avoid following up too soon. You can, however, send a thank you note. After submitting your application, it's a good idea to send a brief thank you note to the grant committee or the person in charge. This shows appreciation for their time and consideration. Now, if the specified time has passed and you haven't heard back, it's then appropriate to follow up with a polite email or even a phone call. Inquire about the status of your application and express continued interest in the grant. Now, let's talk about the bad news. What do you do if your grant application is unsuccessful? First off, you might have been rejected because of the poor quality of writing. Grant proposals might be rejected if the writing quality is too poor. This could entail convoluted reasoning, excessive repetitions, or unreasonable length. Next time, ensure that your proposal is clear, concise, and compelling. Avoid jargon and ensure your proposal is free from errors. Organizational capacity is another reason. Even well-written grant proposals can be rejected if the funder questions the organization's capacity to carry out the project. Next time, clearly demonstrate your organization's capability to execute on the project. Misaligned goals. Proposals can be rejected if the goals of your mission do not align with the funder's objectives. If you apply for another grant, make sure your project's goals align with the funder's mission and objectives. Don't just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Lack of clarity or poor budgeting. Grant proposals that lack clarity in presenting the project or have a poorly drafted budget are usually first on the chopping block. Also, ensure that your budget is detailed and realistic. Could be denied because of a missed deadline. Failing to submit the proposal on time is a sure reason for a rejection. So make sure you submit your proposal well in advance before the deadline to avoid last-minute issues. And there you have it, everything that you need to know about securing a business grant. Now, we've covered a lot in this video, and if in researching you can't find a grant that aligns with what you need funding for or your goals, I want to invite you to check out the link in the description of this video. That link is your ticket to our free business funding masterclass, where we'll teach you how you can get your hands on up to $250,000 of zero interest funding for any business expense you have in any industry. I highly recommend that you check that training out. And I want to thank you for hanging out with me in this video. I hope it was helpful in breaking down the business grant process. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you get all the latest tips and tricks for your business. As always, I'm your host, Zach Ritchie, and I'll see you in the next video.